If you want to understand the fragile, high-stakes chessboard of modern global security, don't bother looking at diplomatic summits in Geneva. Look exactly 1,600 meters above sea level, deep in the Iranian desert, at a ridge of rock that looks entirely unremarkable. It's called Pickaxe Mountain, and right now, it is staring down the barrel of the most terrifying military apparatus on the planet. The rhetoric coming out of Washington is far from subtle. In a recent interview with broadcaster Hugh Hewitt, President Trump casually painted a bullseye on the site, asserting that American forces are closely monitoring Pickaxe Mountain and consider it a prime candidate for a decisive strike. He further advised Iranian leadership to brace themselves. According to the Wall Street Journal, Trump's top aides are actively briefing him on how to execute this operation. But here is the million-dollar question. What exactly is America threatening to neutralize? And more importantly, against a mountain this dense, do they even possess a munition capable of penetrating it? Welcome to Vigo Politics. Let us open the file. To understand why everyone is sweating over a literal rock, we have to talk about America's favorite strategy in the Middle East, which involves subterranean dismantlement. During the recent February strikes and the brutal 12-day war in June, the United States and Israel bypassed negotiations entirely. They brought the hammer down on Iran's primary nuclear sites at Natanz, Fordo, and Isfahan. When America decides to dismantle a facility, they bypass knocking and instead drop 30,000-pound Massive Ordnance Penetrators. These penetrators are explicitly engineered to bypass the deepest subterranean defenses. The above-ground plant at Natanz was neutralized. The underground facility was entirely disabled. Trump proudly declared the Iranian nuclear program permanently decommissioned, and the United States even returned for a second round this year, just to guarantee the infrastructure remained inoperable. However, you cannot simply attack a geopolitical ambition out of existence. You just force the opposition to acquire a bigger shovel. After a mysterious sabotage incident back in 2020, Iran's then nuclear chief, Ali Akbar Salehi, surveyed the wreckage and announced that Iran was constructing a modernized, massive hall right in the heart of the mountain. Rafael Grossi, head of the UN nuclear watchdog, expressed frustration on PBS Frontline, noting that this strategy perfectly aligns with Tehran's classic playbook of burying their most sensitive facilities. So, what did they build? The short answer is a black box. Iran has flatly refused to provide the International Atomic Energy Agency with the blueprints, essentially leaving international inspectors completely blind. But satellite intelligence, meticulously analyzed by the Washington-based Institute for Science and International Security, paints a terrifyingly impressive picture. This is not merely a bunker, it is a subterranean leviathan. The tunnels stretch over 320 yards long, while the workspace is estimated to exceed 53,000 square feet. To put that into perspective, one of the main tunnels drops 145 meters down. You could place the Statue of Liberty down there, and she would still need a flashlight. The Washington think tank estimates this provides plenty of room to not only house a massive centrifuge enrichment plant, but also the specialized workspaces needed to shape weapon-grade uranium metal into functional components. And the clock is ticking. Under an interim deal with Washington, Tehran promised to dilute 441 kilograms of near-weapons-grade fissile material. That is enough material for 11 nuclear weapons, currently believed to be buried beneath the wreckage of their previously targeted facilities. Dan Shapiro, a former senior Pentagon official, spelled out the reality of the situation, explaining that Trump is terrified the setbacks imposed on Iran's nuclear program could be reversed the second they power on Pickaxe. Even if they are not enriching uranium right now, the sheer potential of the mountain makes it a critical target. Which brings us to the ultimate tactical headache. Can an earth-penetrating munition actually breach this fortress? The experts are heavily leaning toward no. Pickaxe Mountain is so geologically dense and ridiculously deep that it basically renders a 30,000-pound payload ineffective. Matthew Sharp, a senior nuclear fellow at MIT, pointed out the uncomfortable truth. When the United States successfully hit the Fordo complex, it was a highly calculated maneuver. They had years of surveillance and internal designs, knowing exactly which ventilation shafts to target. Pickaxe, on the other hand, is a complete mystery. There are no obvious ventilation shafts visible on the satellite feeds. Initiating a strike on it right now is akin to trying to snipe a mosquito through a brick wall. Furthermore, Tehran is growing incredibly paranoid. Following the June 2025 war, Iranian engineers literally filled their own eastern tunnel entrances with dirt to block ground vehicles, leaving only the western portals open. Sam Lair from the Foreign Policy Research Institute notes that a nation does not barricade its front door, unless there is something inside worth protecting. Trump claims the United States sees no activity there, boasting that every time Washington hears about Iran's nuclear situation, they dismantle the threat. But the institute assesses that while the facility is not fully operational yet, construction has absolutely resumed. So, we have a geopolitical stalemate. America possesses unmatched firepower from the sky, while Iran possesses millions of tons of solid granite. The question remains regarding who will blink first. Despite this indestructible shield, Pickaxe Mountain has one fatal flaw. You can bury a centrifuge under a mile of rock, but the personnel running it still need air conditioning, electricity, and sustenance. The deepest bunker in the world is still entirely reliant on surface-level power grids, cooling systems, and equipment deliveries. While the central hall might be safe from American munitions, its supply lines remain heavily exposed. The Institute notes that Pickaxe is incredibly vulnerable to ground force sabotage or tactical strikes aimed purely at the tunnel entrances. It is the world's most stressful game of hide and seek. Iran secured the ultimate hiding spot, but America controls the oxygen. How do you see this playing out? Is Washington going to strike the supply lines before the mountain goes active? Or is Pickaxe truly untouchable? Drop your analysis down in the comments. Subscribe to Vigo Politics, and I will see you in the next briefing.